Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the It's Pizza Time podcast. I'm your host, iNDiGO. Today I'm joined by my co host, Victor,
It's good, guys.
my co host, John,
Hello.
and our very special guest, Aaron Richards.
It's not a silly little moment. It's not the storm before the calm. This is the deep and dying breath of this love that we've been working on and on. Can't seem to hold you like I want to, so I can feel you.
How's it going?
Returning. This is the first instance of any person being on the podcast a second time. So
I'm
be
very
proud.
honored.
Be proud. You're the first one. Um,
I guess I must have done something right.
yeah, definitely. You did something right by asking me again. No, that's the way to do it. All right. So I guess since I can't you really use the precursor question, will has your favorite kind of pizza changed? Or I guess like yeah, has it changed?
Well, my last time was vegan pizza, and I think that's not really going to change anytime soon.
That's probably fair. Okay. Well then what
Sad,
is
sad,
like what sorry?
sad that I haven't had much pizza since I moved. Even
Uh
I got this perfectly sized oven for that just sits on your countertop, and you can just throw a pizza in there and go to town. But it's one of the few things I haven't cooked in that kitchen so far. I guess
gotcha.
we got to make that a priority.
Well then like what's your favorite like topping for vegan pizzas? Cuz obviously those have got to be different than like most other ones, right?
Favorite topping? Man, if I had to choose, you know what? Actually, I just remembered I did have pizza since I got out here, and it's not actually a topping per se, but I usually go back and forth between marinara sauce and barbecue sauce. Which barbecue sauce, I don't know. Some people might find sacrilegious, but I'm about it. I'll do
Yeah,
barbecue
it's
sauce and pineapple all day on my pizza. But I just got crazy and I was like, you know what? What if we mixed it? What if I did both? And it was life changing. So
Life changing in a
so
good
so
way?
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
pineapple with barbecue sauce.
No. That's a given. But the barbecue sauce and marinara sauce combined for the
Oh,
sauce.
oh
Go
shit.
ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Both of those I've never heard of. So, it's like it's kind of like
Okay.
now just like making me think like I'm like, huh, maybe I should try it. But like I don't know, man. I've never been too big of a pineapple fan. So like, well, we'll see. We'll see. I'll
With or
have to.
without pineapple, the barbecue and marinara combined was out of this world. I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to work out, but it was fantastic. And it might have
All
just
right.
been I was literally starving, but it seemed like the best pizza I've ever had in my life at the time.
Okay. I'll be sure to try that then. Um, all right. Well, then let's talk about why what this episode is going to be about today. But you have a new project, a new cover.
Yeah, so I do a lot of covers. I kind of want to start steering more in the direction of original music. I still like doing covers and I want to continue to, but maybe dial back, focus more on my own stuff. But this particular cover is a big step in that direction for me because while I have dabbled in production on some of my other releases, this is the first time that I've put something out where, aside from obviously the songwriting itself, everything was 100% me. Um, Recording and production and tracking vocals and all of it. Just normally I would go to the studio, record with a vocal engineer. I'd get a track. Either I was collaborating with someone or they would produce a track for me. But either way, I wasn't making that. So this this was just something that I tried out. I don't know. I didn't really intend for it to be anything initially like that I was going to release, but I ended up putting a lot of work into it, and I really like it. It's not like an elaborate production. It's pretty simple, but it feels very me. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what most people want to go for with their music, as long as it just feels like it's something that they would make. That's like as long as it feels like them, like you said, that's definitely probably the best way, like or the best way to feel after you've created something.
Sure.
Because like if it doesn't feel like if it doesn't feel like you, then it's like, what's the point? It's not really something that you should have made then if it's not you. Um, I guess, at least in my
Honestly,
opinion.
I've put like a lot into the music that I've made up to this point, and I wouldn't say that those songs don't feel like me, but this is in a
More
different.
than usual.
It's I listen to a lot of different music and a lot of different styles, but every time that I collaborate with somebody, there's a little bit of them, a little bit of you, and that's the awesome thing about collaborations. But to have something that is just wholly and uniquely mine, it's well as far as a cover can be. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. Like when you sent me that, like, I was it was really cool to see the because I'm also very used to you seeing you like as a feature on tracks and stuff like that, because that was like my first introduction to your stuff. But seeing that you're actually like producing it all yourself, um, was really cool. But also the fact that you animated the video yourself. That was probably the thing that really like stuck out to me. I was like, oh damn, he did literally everything. That
yeah,
is
that was unexpected for even me. I I'll definitely get into that some more, but I never planned on animating a video for this myself. I have no background in that kind of art, in visual arts at all. Which I
Right.
think is pretty clear if you watch that animation. Like it it feels very intentional, I think, which is great, and it fits, it works. But the drawings are pretty crude, uh, and uh, and there's definitely some room for improvement if I continue doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'd say it's a really like cool way to also express yourself not only through the music but also through the visuals itself. And it's really cool that you took like not knowing anything about it and just like going ahead and just throwing yourself into it. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't do that necessarily, and they would probably just hire another animator and it would probably be not generic and stuff, but this is more unique and it's more you.
Well, I tried going that route, but turns out animation's pretty expensive,
Oh yeah, for sure.
very intensive. But I definitely just dove right in, and it's funny because I made a joke with my friend a couple days prior, and it's just like, "Hey, you want to start up an animation studio? Because I can't afford this." And 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 it was just like an absurd idea. Like, yeah, I'm gonna animate my own video. That'd be something, wouldn't it? And then literally a couple days later, I'm like, well, I animated my own video.
And then what was
It's
the
not quality that it would have been if I'd hired somebody, but it's got a style.
right? And then what did you end up using for it? And then how what was like the learning process? Were you just sitting there doing it all yourself? Were you watching videos?
I really didn't have much like in the way of tutorial videos or anything like that. Um, I had for a couple days been like just more attentively looking at certain animations and kind of trying to deconstruct it, how they get created in my head. And I think at one point prior to this, I watched some documentary that didn't just focus on the animation, but was like a breakdown of how Avatar: The Last Airbender was created, just the whole show in general. And and you know, I thought, how hard can it be? I just need some kind of program where I can just draw one frame at a time and smash it together and go from there. I'm not trying to do anything too fancy. So I literally I just Googled an app on my iPad that seemed to work just fine, and I did exactly that. Just drew one frame at a time, and spent about 24 hours on it, which is not a terribly long time. But I'm talking like didn't shower, didn't really eat. I baked up some brownies and just lived off of that for like those
Holy
2 days
crap.
because it spanned 2 days, but over a course of like pretty much 24 hours from start to finish, and didn't really sleep too well because I was just focused on that. I was so hyper focused, and I even stayed up in bed doing that. Finally passed out. Woke up just without even getting out of bed. Just reached over. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, I'm sure you must have like developed a deeper like appreciation for people that do animation for like a living. Just
Absolutely.
like
So even more so now, it blows my mind than it already did.
yeah. All right, well, I guess how was it going with that and like doing the entire music production yourself? Like what was the I guess how did your experience differ compared to normally?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for what other people's experiences are for production, um, but I mean, I'm trying to think because it was actually a while ago that I recorded this, and it's just something I've been sitting on because I wasn't totally sure if I wanted to release it, if I felt confident enough about it, because so many reasons actually. Um, yeah, I just wasn't totally confident. Even though I really liked what I did, I kept second guessing. And the first thing about the track is that there is no percussion through like 90% of it, which is unusual. And that may well have stemmed from a lack of skills or whatever in doing that. But it just kind of like I started with a couple sounds that I liked and built around that. And the fact that there was no percussion, I think I just kind of worked around that as I built it. So at this point, I mean, I could have added percussion, but I feel like what it became was just not really meant to. And it's a very vocally driven song, I think, for the most part. The sounds are more just atmosphere and background textures, and it has some elements that kind of drive it along. But but I think really just creating like an atmosphere and a a mood, I guess. I don't want. I was trying not to say the word vibe, but just I love the word atmosphere when it comes to creating music because it really can just. Oh, Zeke, what do you want from me? Come here, come say hi. Sorry, I got distracted by puppy.
All right.
All right, buddy. So
Push him away.
atmosphere because music can really just take you and put you into a different world, and it's crazy to me listening to music, trying to understand how it is that it has this way of communicating ideas without even using words, and uh, I just feel like there's an emotional language to music, obviously, goes
Absolutely.
without saying, but in a way where there's obviously room for interpretation, and different people can have different experiences of the same thing, but there's still a bottom line universal. This sounds sad or this sounds happy, or I mean, there's always gray areas, right? But even more complicated emotions, I feel like there are just ways to express that through music, and I
Definitely.
have fun playing around with it. Yeah, sorry if I'm going off on a tangent.
No, no,
Talking
it's fine, fine. It's what
music
the
is
show lives on, so it's like, um, yeah, but I totally get what you mean because it's like music is there's like not very like you said, it's not very black and white. It's so uh there's so many things you can express. Like there are some songs that like I could hear them for the first time and they'll like express like the sense of like nostalgia. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
Um it's stuff like they could just make you feel things like, just at least for me. I don't know if that's like I get usually very connected with what I'm listening to and I'm like whatever, I could find some kind of beauty in like whatever, um but yeah, it's just like it just kind of depends what you're looking for. Like everything like has some kind of emotion tied to it. There's not really any song even that's like I'd say even like comedy music is meant to just be funny, and I feel like that's like its own thing. But it everything has like its own, purpose and way to make you feel something.
You mentioned the word nostalgia, and it's funny because like happy and sad, that's a pretty easy thing, pretty basic emotion to get down with music. But more complicated ideas like the sense of nostalgia. I've even just like very recently been listening to music and feeling like that's something that I hear in a lot of music, and I don't know if it's ex- expressly like using sounds that are familiar and identifiably from the time period that caused that sense. But there's definitely songs that I feel like inherently make you reflective of the past, and not through words, not through anything like that, just through the sounds and textures, and I find it fascinating. And again, I feel like nostalgia is kind of a complex thing to express musically without words, but it's just
Yeah. It's incredibly complex to like to do, but when you do it, it's like it's always when you succeed, it's always so like I guess rewarding when you hear a song that really like hits you there.
yeah, absolutely.
It's like that's kind of what you want, which is if you manage to do that, then it's like y- goal achieved. Nice. Um all right. John, you've been pretty quiet. You got anything to say? This is the obligatory moment in the episode where we just out John and have him say something.
Dude, I'm gonna ask like the dumbest question right now. The one I always ask.
All
Go
right,
Don't
all
for
make
it.
me
right.
ask this question.
Dude, it's fine. We
All
just need
right.
your quota. You need to meet your quota for the episode, John.
All right. Marco's probably tired of hearing this, but what's the most superior condiment in your opinion?
Okay, fucking.
I told you, dude.
No, it's like I'm not upset. It's because I don't like your answer, John. Because it's wrong.
Oh, let's see. Let's hear him decide
All
it.
right. What's
Uh,
your
that's definitely gonna have to be follow your heart veganese. That stuff I could put it on just about everything. And if you want to make it broader, then I would say mayo. But yeah,
what?
Oh,
How?
mayo.
Okay, I'm assuming I think I know what veganese is. It's probably just vegan mayonnaise, just as it sounds. But what is that exactly?
absolutely. I'll be right back. Let's find out.
Is he gonna get it?
I
Oh
actually
boy.
never heard of that.
Hold on,
I
I'm
I
gonna
didn't think it was gonna be mayonnaise.
while he's grabbing that, I'm gonna close my window. Or I'm gonna.
Bam. All
Oh
right.
wow.
All right, I'm just gonna close my
It
door real quick.
is obviously expeller pressed canola oil, and there you have it.
Mm.
No, there's some other stuff, but yeah, I think it's basically made from vegetable oil and combination of rice and apple cider vinegar and soy protein and salt, mustard flour. lemon juice. It's just some stuff. But basically, it's from vegetable oil. Um,
That's super
Honestly,
interesting.
it's
Cause like,
it's yeah. Go ahead.
does it taste like normal mayonnaise? Or like,
Absolutely.
can you
Yeah, there's
that?
there's a, like there's a lot of vegan things that don't necessarily do justice to their counterparts. And I'll be the first to admit there is no, at least that I've had, vegan bacon substitute. It just doesn't exist. Um, Vegan sausage, like breakfast sausage, though, on the other hand, that exists and it's amazing. So, I mean, if you get the right one, veganese is just like I swear you could swap that out for just about anybody and they know it really wouldn't.
It's
And
stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's stuff like that is super surprising to me, like how far we've come to be able to, substitute so much with like other things, with other combinations of things, and it's almost exactly the same. Like, because I mean, mayo, for instance, it's like it's made with like milk and eggs to some degree, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
That
majority eggs, I believe.
yeah, that's such like, and being the majority of that, it's like how could you ever reach something different without that, right? If it's
I think everything
mostly
breaks
that.
down into a combination of fat, protein, and carbs, basically. So uh,
Yeah,
mayonnaise is predominantly fat, and they get fat from, I guess, milk and eggs to some extent, some combination of protein and fat, and
yeah.
so instead they worked it out, and soy protein was one of the ingredients in this, and then they get the fat from vegetable oil. So
It's still interesting to like for stuff to mimic taste like that.
yeah,
Because like I mean, my sister recently cooked like the these like these impossible or like non-meat like burger patties,
sure,
and it's like they taste almost exactly like the real thing. It's like you could tell there's like a little bit of a
Mhm.
whatever, but it's like for the most part you couldn't tell. You'd probably just assume that the meat was like weird, but it's like super interesting, like how the fact that we've come like as a civilization to a point where we can turn plants into like the same thing.
yeah.
That's like just boggles my mind.
Sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into the vegan podcast. It happens. You
No,
know,
it's all good. It's all good.
you
Literally
know
the last episode that we recorded,
what?
it became like talking about Star Wars for about half an hour. So it's like it literally this is what the show runs on,
Yeah.
um
But
all right.
that superior condiment right there, folks.
Veganese. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm
Wait,
good.
what's your answer? Because now I'm interested.
Ketchup.
John
Ketchup.
John and Victor are on the ketchup
It
team.
it
I
goes on like
I
everything,
I
like
it
mostly
just
everything.
because it's versatile doesn't mean it's good. It means it's
Yes, it is.
bland. It's
Because it's versatile, it can go on anything and it tastes good.
no. That just means it's the base. That just means it's the boring one. Come on.
No.
All right. Okay.
I mean, you could.
Before I
Okay. Go
okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
before I get even more heated about this, let's like move on. Um
We were talking
I don't
about
want to
splitting, or getting rid of LA
Oh,
earlier before we started the podcast.
it's
yeah.
true.
So, do you guys want to continue that?
I don't know what there is more to say. It's just like LA shouldn't exist, right? That's just like basically the consensus we came to.
Well, I mean that comes off a little harsh, but
Of
yes,
course.
that's what
I
that is
mean,
the consensus.
from what I understand, like historically, I think that it was just a bunch of people that came together and they're like, you know what, we should make the Venice of North America, because they had Venice, Italy, and they're like, oh, let's just do it here, right? Or like, let's sell off dreams and like put palm trees here, and people will move here and think it's like grand and beautiful and stuff. And then people actually came out here, became overpopulated, and now it's kind of fucked. But yeah,
Yeah. Like I would like LA a lot more if there was, consistent weather.
what?
I would like it if it wasn't, or if it was
Oh,
like, or if
I
there was
see.
like seasons.
Seasons. Yeah, I was about
That's
to
what I
say it's consistent as like it's almost as consistent
that
as it
was
could
the
be.
wrong word. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
I like rain. I'm like one of those people. I'm
I
not.
agree. I love rain, but I also do like the sun. And I'm one of those people that do love the rain, but whenever I talk to people like about rain, they're like, I fucking hate rain. I'm like, what? So
So what are people's thoughts on humidity then versus, it's a dry heat?
I do like the fact that, I mean, humidity is like, as far as when I've experienced it, it's always been like way worse than dry heat. It
because
just
now you're
I guess
wet and hot. Like I used to live in North Carolina. It would get really humid a lot, and the heat there wasn't as bad. But I'd say like when you're wet and hot, it's not as fun as being just dry and hot. Because when you're dry, you can at least kind of chill. But like, uh, you can't even like lay in bed when it's like humid. You know?
So I
I
just
mean,
moved to Georgia, and it's about as humid as anywhere I've ever known. Um, and my roommate is he came from California with me, so we've got two differing opinions on it. He doesn't like sweating, and like you said, doesn't want to be hot and wet. In my opinion, I feel like if you're in a dry heat, which where we came from is like frequently over 100 degrees,
Yeah.
100 uh, in the desert, you gotta wear like tons of chapstick, and you're drying up, nose is cracking, lips are cracking. You're in an oven. At least when it's humid, you're staying moisturized and you're staying hydrated.
Yeah. There's definitely
yeah.
pros and cons of either one. And I feel like just experiencing both of them for long enough, I feel like the dryness, well, I hate it, and of course I want to like, I'm always constantly drinking water, like because of the dry, and it's fucking terrible. And like, I don't put on as much lotion as I probably fucking should, because it's to live out here in California, like you're just gonna be dry, like you're fucked no matter what. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Like
I love all the green and the trees, and the big ass bugs. Okay, maybe not, but obviously, like my mentality is life thrives in these humid areas. Uh, the plants grow tall. I always talk about Florida, saying there's a reason why the lizards are like 10 feet long, and
Yeah,
and even the birds and the bugs and stuff get so big because life just thrives out there. And I want to be somewhere where life is thriving and where we're meant to be. And back to talking about LA, life especially in such large numbers is not supposed to be there. That's why the LA Aqueduct exists, and they're basically on life support as a social, as a city. Um, I don't know. For myself, I really am loving this change, and I think it's also a matter of where you grew up, because grass
yeah.
is always greener. People always want whatever they don't have. So I don't know a lot of people in California like, man, I wish it was humid, but
yeah,
but at the same time, I moved, so
yeah. I feel like I wish there was like weather every couple. I mean, as far as like rain, like at least maybe couple
More
times
frequently.
couple times a month. You know, it would be nice, like 3 days or so.
yeah, we've been getting it every single day, but it's only just in like the afternoon for an hour or so, and then it's bright blue skies again.
That's actually sounds so nice. Yeah, cause here it's so fucking dry.
Yeah.
I went hiking on Sunday, and like if you're just like looking out, like we went towards like the valley, like near Burbank, and it's so dry, it's ridiculous, and like everything's like sandy, and like everything looks just fucking dead. And like you'll walk around and you can see all the charred trees from like the forest fires and stuff, and it just looks like there's nothing going on. And like we didn't see very many animals or anything. Like we had a coyote jump in front of our car, like while we were driving, but that was about it. Like we didn't see anything. Like maybe
You didn't
lizards.
That sounds pretty exciting.
maybe clarify that you didn't hit the coyote. I'm pretty.
Oh, of course not. He jumped like way ahead. Of course, but yeah,
Okay. Um. Yeah, definitely. I mean, LA compared to most places, it's like it's very different. Like when I was in middle school and like early high school, I wanted to move back to Sweden because it was always like I love the weather there because it's super nice in the summers, and I did love like snow and like rain and stuff like that. I loved the weather, but it's like the more I think about it, it's like a lot of people bring up the point that here it's very easy, or it's very hard to have like your plans be like canceled due to like weather or whatever. It's very easy to just like make plans and then it's like nothing goes wrong because it's just like you just kind of know what the weather's going to be the next week.
Yeah,
So
and as far as just like how movie production goes, a lot of the movie production studios are out here in California because of the constant weather. Like, especially for like shows that,
Funny.
especially shows that we have so much open space in California as well. We have like the Valley area. So like they have places to shoot, and because of the consistent weather, they can shoot all the time. So that's why most of the studios are at least here in California. And that's why like Hollywood's a thing. So
I actually learned upon moving out here that that Atlanta is a pretty huge hub for film production, which is not something that I'm personally involved in, but it's kind of cool. I mean, dude, I'd love to meet somebody, you know, hanging out that works on some films, maybe get a placement, get a sync with my music in some kind of thing one day. But yeah, I guess they just have like a huge industry here, and it stands to reason what you were saying about like having the weather be consistent out there, which I'm sure here they have a tough time with because it seems like it's pretty but for whatever reason, I think it's just like tax incentives and stuff. They've built it up here, but it's apparently it rivals, if not exceeds, LA's film industry, at least nowadays.
So is it like a film industry in terms of just like Hollywood film industry, or is it more like music video stuff? Because I know that.
Nothing to do with music, like
television,
TV. Yeah.
Oh right, because they have like, yeah, Empire and a bunch of. Got it. Okay.
Everything that says like made in Georgia at the end of it, they have like these incentives and stuff for producers to work out here.
Got
I don't
it.
really know much about
Yeah.
it, but it's just little things I'm learning about the area I'm in.
Yeah, definitely interesting because that's the first time I've ever heard that. So.
All right, well, I guess let's talk about how let's talk a little bit more about like I guess your music, since I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be like a music related show. Um
Oh, is it? My bad.
no, don't worry. That's like mostly our bad for like not even jumping on those topics a lot of the time. But so I
Well,
guess huh?
you quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but you had asked about the process of producing this song on my own and how it was different. And there was one point that I forgot to mention earlier, which was that when I recorded the vocals for it, I was living at my parents' house still, and I was in my mom's spare bedroom at her house, recording in the closet, and I recorded it real late at night. So I was trying to be kind of quiet, and it was just supposed to be like a rough take. Like I was never intended for that to be the take that I used for the recording, but I ended up just liking it a lot and sticking with it, which I thought was kind of hilarious, because again, it was just supposed to be like some real quick, like just lay this down as a placeholder, and I'll do something better over it later. But ended up actually using that as the final vocal.
That's actually pretty cool. Like there's like a story behind it, I guess. There's a lot more, I guess, character behind the thing, and you could talk about that. It definitely, I mean, it's a lot like it's a funnier story than like just oh yeah, we recorded this in like a nice studio or whatever.
Yeah, we made it in 5 minutes. We put it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a question in terms of just the release date. Was that a release date that you chose yourself, or maybe label chose it, or?
Yeah, so this is an independent release. and I just kind of picked an arbitrary date, to be perfectly honest. I'm putting the video out on the 27th of August. I'm not sure if this is going to come out before or after that.
This will come up before, so
Okay. Yeah. So the video's coming out just on its own on YouTube, and then a couple days later, on the 31st, it will be available on Spotify and everything else, for streaming. But I just chose that. Initially, I wanted to pitch the song around, but because it's a cover, I just had some trouble with that. And I've actually successfully pitched covers before, but it's always just kind of jumping through hoops. And so, really, more than anything, I just felt ready to get this out. I've been sitting on the song itself for so long, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it. And then after doing the video, that was kind of the main for me. Is I felt like I really like this song. I like what I did, but given that there's no percussion, I would call it just for that fact alone, maybe a little more experimental. Uh, and I felt like it needed something to carry it, some kind of visual. I thought, a video for this song is going to be really important, but I don't really have a network out here in Georgia yet to anyone to help me put together a video. And I thought about how I could do it myself. Um, Went down the animation route, kind of thinking about hiring someone for that. Found out it was a ton of work and really expensive, justifiably so. But yeah, I wanted something to carry it along, and that process with the animation was really interesting. Finding ways to express with my limited artistic ability what was being conveyed in each moment in the song. And I did kind of just approach it one segment at a time. I would draw something out, come up with some idea, get through that segment, and then have no idea what I do next, and just listen to it quite a few times until I had some kind of like spark or inspiration, and then on to the next idea. I lost myself there, just on another tangent.
mm, it's all good, all good. So I guess, would you consider that this cover is like completely different to like anything else you've made before, or would you like relate it to anything else you've done?
I feel like it's pretty different. I feel like all my songs, well, they vary. Some of them are more dance EDM kind of. Some of them are acoustic, but especially lately, I feel like a lot of them, they have a pop sound to it. My vocal style in this song hasn't really changed, although it's a lot more reserved. It's it's a lower register, not like really low, but I don't get into my upper register too much in this song. uh, and and I would say it's kind of like calmer in that sense.
Mm,
um, the song itself is a breakup song. It's one of my favorites by John Mayer, and that's another thing, is he's such a huge influence to me, but I've never covered any of his songs, which is kind of bizarre to me. Because seriously, I mean, like if I had to pick like a top three, he's and so it just felt like it was definitely time to do something with one of those, since I do so many covers. Um, but in that sense, it's different. And then in terms of the production, I feel like it's something I've been gravitating towards slowly. So it may not be a night and day difference to somebody who isn't listening too closely. But I think if someone's a little more attentive, there's definitely a direction that my stuff has been gradually heading in, and I think this is just the next step in that direction for me.
Right. And
yeah.
then, go ahead.
No, I just said yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, in terms of just like work on in the future after this project, right? What do you foresee yourself doing? Are you going to possibly be working on an EP, maybe full-length album, more singles, covers? What's the plan, if there even is one?
Yeah, so I haven't set up my studio here. I mean, little bits, but it's not really operational. I don't have to record vocals, which is obviously kind of the centerpiece of what I do, and that shouldn't take me too long to get set up. But once I have that set up, there's just a lot of things that I'm juggling, both in my personal life and in terms of my music. And my production is going to take some time developed, I think. And I want to, I definitely want to spend, when I do put out an EP or an album or anything of that sort, I want to really spend some time on the songwriting aspect and even developing that further. So that's probably not going to happen too quickly. In the meantime, I do want to shift a little bit away from covers and focus on more original content, and I think that's going to take shape in more features. Actually, I've actually not done a ton of features. I started with Synchronize and quickly did Matches and To Be Alive all on Monstercat. And since then, it's been kind of sporadic. I most recently did Heartless with Dexter King, which obviously we all talked
Yeah.
about. Um, but I think like that release with Dexter, I want to just do some more top lines, do some more original vocals that that I really have nothing to do with the production, just collaborations. I'd like to do some more with Dexter, as a matter of fact, and quite a few other people. I have a couple in the works right now, but I do think, I don't know. I'm just gonna play around with it. Earlier on in this talk, you said if something doesn't really feel like you, it's, I'm not sure exactly what you said, but it's kind of like not working. Um, and right now, I feel like I'm in. I mean, very much. I'm literally in a transitional period in my life, moving from California to Georgia, getting settled in this new place, um, and I think that's going to be reflected in my music. I'm just feeling things out, and I want to spend more time in my music and in my life, just putting focus into what actually brings me fulfillment, um, and and not so much like what should I be doing, what could I be doing. It's like, what do I enjoy following that path. So what shape that's going to take for my music, I've been thinking about that I feel like I should do, but I just don't. I don't know. It feels more like stressful than exciting. Um, so I I should probably give an example of what I'm talking about. um, I feel like I need to make more video content, but I don't really enjoy making video content too much.
Hmm.
Especially like being in like a music video context where I'm the subject of the video. I don't know. I guess part of it is that I'm self-conscious.
Yeah.
But even more than that, like I don't have the resources to really do the kinds of interesting videos I would like. So I just felt like I guess I should do more video content with my music, but it's not really something that I find fulfillment in, and just the process of trying to put it together is so stressful that I'm
Hmm.
steering away from that a bit. But the animation, that was just like such a breath of fresh air. That feels like something that I might want to incorporate more into whatever music releases that I put out. And also, for the sake of simplicity, this space that I'm in here, I feel like it's a pretty cool space. I love the wood ceilings. It's very aesthetically, and I
It does look
thought
very nice.
I thought might be cool is to actually just film some like stripped down videos in here where I could. I mean, honestly, I was thinking about I kind of want to. I sing. I'm gonna start over.
All right, all right. Rewind.
I I love singing along with music that I listen to, and I tend to harmonize on whatever I'm listening to, whether or not there are actually harmonies in the music. I'll just make my own if there aren't, and uh, and I really like that. And I thought it might actually be fun to, instead of doing like a full cover where it's like got a new production and there's so much work that goes into that, when at the end of the day it's not my song. It's still like a great experience sometimes, but what I just want to put, like, if I'm going to put that much work into something, I want it to be my own music. But for continuing doing covers, which I thought it might be fun to just sing over the actual track and just sing like harmonies. Just something that I do anyways in my free time because it's something I enjoy, and this would be a cool, backdrop for that. And I wouldn't have to worry too much about just the production, the costs, or the manpower, or the equipment, or anything like that. And so I'm just kind of gonna feel things out, and I don't really think that would do too much to grow my audience necessarily, but it's just something that would be fun, and maybe some people enjoy my stuff and want content in between my releases, and in a way that it's just something that I'm gonna have, you know.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. I had a question forming and then it just completely just like went out.
I
All
got
good.
you.
All
So,
right. All right. What do you got?
is that your studio room or is that your bedroom? Because that looks fucking sick either way. And like,
This is definitely not my bedroom. My bedroom is downstairs. So I'll just call this part of the studio.
right,
You got a
definitely.
nice drum
My
kit there.
drum set back here that I don't hardly know how to play, but I've been trying. I've been learning.
Have you thought about putting anything on the walls or anything, or do you just like the white? Because I personally, for me, I actually really like the white. But at the same time, I feel like it'd be so cool if you just like had someone paint or you painted stuff yourself.
I actually have a friend who does like huge wall-sized murals. Um, Shout out to him, Jono Vangochea. He actually did the artwork for one of my last releases. But if I were to ever do something like that, that's the guy. But I'm renting this place right now. If I were to buy it, I might definitely,
Right.
for the time being, probably just gonna hang up a couple guitars on the wall, if anything, and just keep it very simple and stripped down. I
Right.
like the cozy feel of it, and it kind of reminds me of just like being in a or something, and
Mm.
even like with the fireplace and whatnot back there. I got all my ways up right now. But
Sick.
Um. All right. I guess. I want to like ask you like a question like I guess overall in your music career, like what is I guess what is your proud, like what is the thing you are most, the project you are probably the most proud of, like of how it turned out? Doesn't have to be like your biggest success or whatever, but just the one that you're personally most proud of.
um, I think that would probably have to be Matches, uh, especially just from a songwriting perspective. Well, I don't think that it's perfect, um, and I certainly hope that I can improve with future songs that I write. I just put a lot into that one, and it just kind of clicked. It just kind of came together in a way that I was very happy about. I reached out to Afixa, and I think I did so through his website. I didn't know him personally at the time, and I was pretty positive that I wouldn't get a response. But sure enough, I did. And when he sent over the instrumental, which he had worked on with Stephen Walking, but I didn't know anything about that initially. I definitely I don't know what I was expecting, but that from him, it's very very much different than what he had previously put out. I felt like, but I loved it. I absolutely loved everything about it, and I felt super inspired, and he was just nice as to work with, and so I was also going through quite a bit at the time, and it was such a perfect outlet. And I feel like looking back on everything that I've put out, that still feels, even though that was like 2016, I believe, that still feels like, uh, as far as songwriting goes, that's probably what I'm most proud of. I wish that it had. I mean, I still think it did great, but I wish it could have gone farther. I felt like it had potential to, but I blame Marshmello because he put out his song on Monstercat like within days and just stole my thunder.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I like it was definitely a really good release for like it was probably one of my favorites on the it was the 5-year anniversary album, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So it was definitely like one of my favorites off of that. And like it spawned some really good remixes actually, which
Yeah,
like I still listen to this day actually. They're pretty fire.
yeah,
Um
those remixes went all across the board. It was pretty cool.
yeah, it's very interesting um that's like another thing I want to like ask is like what is your how does it feel when you see like other artists like remixing something that like either you've been featured on or you've made?
It's really exciting. I I've planned some more recently. Like with the Numb release, we kind of planned some remixes on it. But when you just see things just kind of spontaneously happening, it's I'd say flattering. Like for lack of a better word, just like somebody appreciates your work enough to want to work on it themselves. I think it's really cool. So yeah,
I feel like that must be like super interesting, especially like I mean with like the matches ones in particular, like you said they were like all across the board, which is very true, especially like I mean some of them were like very different genres than the original, and it's like I was just like wondering like how that how like what your experience is like hearing that kind of stuff for the first time, like hearing this thing that you made, and then like I mean I think it was Slippy that did like the really kind of hard trap dubstep like version of matches,
yeah,
which was
absolutely. I still feel like that, like the outro for that one that you're talking about. I think it was Slips and Slurs at the time, but
mm,
now Slippy. That outro is with the strings and everything was just the most beautiful rendition I could have imagined, and it's so funny to contrast with hard hitting like dubstep sound. But it was great. It was really awesome, and I remember the first time I subtacked. I was in New York City, and I just had it on my phone. I was like, okay, let's listen to this, see what this is about, and I was just like, I probably looked like a damn fool just with my headphones in, headbanging and amazing. Took it to the next level because the original version's pretty chill. I feel like pretty laid back. But I heard that one, I was like, oh, it goes hard. Yes.
Dude, Subtect is a very talented producer.
Yeah,
Definitely. Like
awesome.
I love stuff that like, you can throw down to, but it's also like happy at the same time. Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff that's always, always good stuff.
Yeah, and
Um
you hear somebody's rendition is I'm sure it's different as like a producer because they're probably hearing something. Oh, that's an interesting idea I never thought of. For myself, I mean, they don't typically change the vocals too much, but when they
mm,
throw in some crazy vocal chops or different effects, it can be pretty cool to just have someone else's perspective uh, and see what they would do with the same thing that you have.
yeah, it's like it's always weird because you never know. It's like if you put them all like together in a line, just have no idea what the next guy is gonna do.
Yeah.
It's always like everybody has their own, stuff, and I love that about like remixes. It allows for like a lot of creativity while like following along, I guess, the same path. Um, so very, very interesting.
But I often feel that way as predominantly a vocalist collaborating with producers. I never really know what I'm gonna get, so I'll send out a vocal and say, "Do you wanna work on this?" And it's a lot like hearing a remix. Like you just don't know what to expect, but I
Yeah.
very often pleasantly surprised with just different twists and turns that I would have never done myself. But I love that about collaborations. It's really
Yeah.
exciting.
I mean, I guess that like for some like ways with being a vocalist, like you sometimes don't even know exactly what the actual track will be until it's done.
Yeah.
Because it's which is probably like the most interesting. Like you just send like the vocal chop, and then like a while later you just get back like the finished product, and they're just like, oh wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it used to be the other way around for me. Like with matches and most of those tracks, I would get the instrumental first and write to that. But more recently, I started doing it the other way around. And I've usually got some idea in my head of what the music is going to sound like, and it's completely wrong. But at least it gets me through the tracking process. And that's something else that's really cool um, through the experience of seeing songs be remixed or just sending a vocal out to a producer, seeing what they do with it. Come to learn that there's no right or wrong answer. There's many different ways to work with a vocal, and yeah, so yeah.
Definitely. All right. Then I guess John, Victor, do you guys have anything that you're curious about?
I actually am. I'm curious about, have you ever had any experiences where I guess you sent out a vocal and a person was just like, I don't want to work with you or something? Like, they just kind of turned down the vocal and said, like, maybe work on something else? I don't know.
Yeah, I've definitely reached out to some people who I never heard back from. So that if that counts, then yes. I don't know if anybody's specifically turned down a vocal that responded, like somebody that I was talking to or already knew. I would say more often, it's more like, okay, I'll try this out, and and then just nothing comes of it. So you just
Right.
kind of figure like, all right, they probably weren't feeling that one.
And then on the reverse end, have you ever sent out a vocal and then they made the track, sent it back to you, and then you were just like, yeah, this is not at all what I was feeling, so I'm just not going to go ahead and release this?
Yeah, absolutely, and I hate it. I hate doing that because people spend a lot of time, put a lot of energy, into stuff like that. But on the bright side, one thing that makes me feel better about telling somebody no, basically, is they can always take that track and repurpose it. And it's the same thing too with a vocal that gets rejected. I can always place that somewhere else. So that's kind of cool. Um, if you still if you believe in that track or that vocal, uh, just because one person tells you no doesn't mean that it's not good or doesn't have a place. Sometimes it just doesn't fit. I've
Right.
definitely submitted songs to labels or to Monstercat or anybody, and they'll tell you, it's not what they're looking for. It doesn't. It's not good, um, but it just sometimes it's got to be the right person or the right place, right time. Um, but I don't take any pleasure in telling somebody no. I'm not very good at it, but I've definitely had to. Recently, though, I do try to work with the producer if I'm doing a collaboration. Um, I feel like I've gotten more confident in identifying specifically what I do or don't like about a song, and if it's something that can be salvaged, and I say salvaged, you know, that sounds like that sounds bad, but if it's something that I feel like could fit, but it needs to be tweaked, then try to work on it with them. But if it's sometimes it's just not the right direction or style, and it's nothing to do with the quality of the production.
Yeah. All right. I guess, John, do you have anything before?
No, I was just gonna say I kind of like relate to that as well, because like it's hard to say no to like others,
Yeah.
even. Yeah,
Like, yeah, having to like deny somebody something is like it's always the worst feeling,
the
especially like when
hardest.
it's
Yeah,
something it's like that they've put a lot of effort into. It just sucks, but it's like sometimes you just know it's like you have to do it. But it's just like it's never a good feeling. I guess the last question I'll ask you, since we're kind of approaching the end of our time here,
Sure.
um, would be like, do you have any, I guess, advice for anybody who wants to get into doing like, um, whoever who wants to get into like making their own music or doing their own vocalist or doing their own vocals or like features on tracks and stuff like that?
Their own animations as well, you know?
um, I just would say do what you enjoy, and if you find yourself doing something that you don't enjoy, you either need to change your perspective or you need to find something to do. Um, and I mean, music is something that is tough to make a career. It's something that I'm still struggling to achieve, really. And if it's not something that you absolutely love, then it's not going to be sustainable. So, that's one thing I would say. But in terms of doing features and collaborations, don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to be rejected either. I think that the fear of rejection holds me back a lot. Sometimes not even just rejection, but just fear of failure. Um, and be open to criticism. Uh, you said something specific that I wanted to touch on based on it. But yeah, that'd be the advice that I have to give at this point. Just do what you love. Don't be afraid of criticism. Don't be afraid of failure. Pick yourself up and just keep trying. Be persistent, and as long as it's something that you're passionate.
All right, those are definitely wise words. I hope somebody, if they've listened to this far, then they'll take note of that. Um, so I guess yeah. Since we're reaching the end of our time here, anything else that you personally just like want to throw in before like we call it quits here?
Just remember to go check out this. I spent 24 hours working so hard on, and yeah, the John Mayer song is called. I don't think I ever actually said the name of it. Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. I just titled it Slow Dancing for this release, but that's the song it's a cover of, and hopefully you like it. Thanks a lot for having me on here. Really
Absolutely.
time
And thanks for
Um,
being the first reoccurring guest as well.
yeah, that's
it's my
you're
pleasure.
making pizza time history.
I'm on it.
All right. Well, yeah, everything for everybody listening, everything for Aaron will be down in the description of wherever you're listening to this, whether it be on YouTube or SoundCloud, Spotify. It doesn't work, so sorry. Um, but yeah, please go ahead and check out Aaron's release when it comes out. Um, would you like to tell me the date one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. That video comes out on the 27th of August, 2020, and the song will be available on all streaming platforms on the 31st.
Awesome. So yeah, please go check that out. Like it would mean if it will definitely mean a lot to him. It will mean a lot to us as well. That just like so you better do it. You can also check out all of Aaron's socials will be down. We're in the description of everything. Our socials, our personal socials will also be down there. Check out the rest of our episodes and all that. Um, join our Discord. We have a Patreon. All that blah blah blah. Easy.
And then
Um,
if you're still watching, post something in the chat. Post Aaron Richards' name, maybe some funny emoji, YouTube, SoundCloud, wherever.
yeah, it's just like if you've made it this far, just like let us know. Um, and yeah, I guess on that note, we will see everybody else in the next episode.
Peace.